very good morning to you all, and a warm welcome to the Season 2 of International Lecture Series 6, organized by Career Development Center, CDC, of India Today Media Institute. And I, Priya Upadhyay, course in charge of CDC. We are excited to have you all here today on this virtual platform as we embark on an enlightening journey into the world of marketing and consumer insights in the digital era. ITMI is proud of its dedication to academic achievement. Our devoted faculty members are here to help you for your holistic grooming and academic development. Today, we have the privilege of hosting renowned expert in this field, a visionary whose insights have transformed the way we perceive and approach marketing challenges, Dr. Robert J. Thompson, Professor of Business Administration, William Carey University, USA. Without further ado, let's dive into this enriching day. To commence our day, may I request the Dean and Director, sir, to grace us with his welcome address for this session. Sir, please share your insights on the essence of the lecture series 6, season 2 at ITMI.
Okay, thank you, Priya, and good morning to all of you. Today's keynote speaker, Professor Robert, my team member, Mr. Anand, Madam Neha, Mr. Dominic, Mr. Ranu, and the other colleagues, those are joining shortly, and my dear children. This is indeed a great privilege to have Professor Robert, despite his very hectic schedule. He keep on delivering talks, lectures, corporate trainings, and so much of engagement. But as a good friend, while I was connecting and requesting, so he promptly accepted. That is his great support and best wishes to India Today Media Institute. We are very privileged, and in the morning, while your domain part will start, we will be starting with the most sought after and expected lecture series, which we are starting with Professor Robert. I will not go much on his profile because the other person will read out his profile, but our friendship is, I believe, more than 6 years is now going on. But then whatever I could understand, Professor Robert is not just an academician of par excellence, but he's also one of the leading research, research scholar, and guiding so many scholars also in the university, conducting corporate trainings, and also a good cook. Sometime on the social media, whenever we get connected, the kind of yummy and sumptuous food he prepare and cook, so it is very delicious looks to it. So I'm quite glad that a person having so many feathers in his hat is simply a great man, so humble, so polite, but at the same time one of the leading personality in the areas of marketing and the consumer insight. So this is one of the finest area which is in a globalized market space being advocated not only just in India, but also worldwide. And it is very pertinent because we are living in a consumer world, and the consumer now considered to be the king. And our consumption habits are driving the brands to repositioning themselves, or maybe go for an extension, or maybe coming out some kind of new additives, because as a human nature or as a consumer, we always tend to see something value addition to it. So it is a complete dynamics which all of us need to understand. No matter whatever career path you go, branding, your understanding your audience, understanding your consumer who is consuming the content as far as the media landscape is concerned or the entertainment landscape is concerned. OTT, not just in India, globally, it has made a huge impact in the digitized era. So wherever you go, primary component is that called branding is essential. And your image, your identity, your reputation, your packaging, your holistic content outline, everything matters to ensure that your branding attributes are working fine. I'm very excited and to listen his thoughtful deliberations which he will be doing today. I just recollect last lecture. We are so delighted, very candidly and very nicely he put it across the global perspective. Today, all of you are going to listen to him from an accomplished marketing and branding expert in the globe. So I'm quite delighted, and ITMI is very fortunate to have you amongst us virtually. And I also, request you to give your best wishes to all my students. And my team member joins me, India Today Group, India Today Media Institute, from the management side, from the student side. I welcoming you to this August gathering on virtual mode. And they too, it's a great day for us because Career Development Center, CDC, has many arms. One of the arms is also called Corporate Synergy. So, and rightfully being anchored by Priya, you just listen to her. She comes up with so many ideas. So why just India? She always encourages her, let's go global, because we are living in a global village. So I believe coinciding with that part, and I also compliment Anand is present here, and being a marketing man, he never left anything stone unturned. So yesterday he coordinated with me, make sure your posters are made, social media postings are done, and cumulatively is a good combination. My children are very, very delighted to looking forward your lecture, your guidance, and your words of wisdom. And my faculty team as well, they are also very enthusiastically looking forward to your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now let's delve into the world of our special guest, Dr. Thompson. For that, I would like to call Ms. Komal Kaul, student of ITMI batch 2023.
I'm Komal Kaul, student of ITMI from batch 2023. Let me introduce you to Dr. Robert J. Thompson, who is a certified hotel administrator and tourism marketing professional. He is assistant professor of business, William Carey University, USA. Dr. Robert Thompson is a seasoned hospitality and tourism industry leader with 30 plus years of work experience in the hospitality industry in destination markets such as Las Vegas, NV, Beverly Hills, CA, and Biloxi, MS. He has held positions of hotel general manager, cruise director, country club manager, director of development, and capped his industry career with a 20 years stint in corporate marketing with Wyndham Worldwide Incorporated. Thompson is a certified hotel administrator with the American Hotel and Lodging Association and holds a tourism marketing professional certification through the Southeast Tourism Society. In 2009, Dr. Thompson received his MBA in hospitality and tourism from the prestigious University of Guelph in Canada. In 2016, he received his PhD in human capital development from the University of Southern Mississippi. From August of 2018 to December 2021, he served as department chair. Recently, Thompson was selected to the 30 most influential hospitality educators in 2023 by the International Hospitality Institute. Dr. Thompson has guest lectured for multiple universities across India, as well as served as a keynote speaker for numerous international conferences and webinars. So everybody give a round of applause for Dr. Thompson, and let's listen what he has to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Komal. Before we proceed, a quick reminder to everyone watching on Zoom, please keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation to ensure an uninterrupted session. Now, without further delay, let's all extend a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Robert J. Thompson as he takes the virtual stage to enlighten us on this captivating topic. Dr. Thompson, the digital podium is yours.
Namaste and Shukriya. It's saying that I cannot share, it's disabled. It's still saying disabled. Mm-hmm.
Is there any problem in connecting?
It's saying that the host is disabled sharing.
No, that host is. Priya, can you ask Ranu?
Yes, sir. Allow us a couple of minutes, sir.
Okay.
Anand, can you please look into it? Anand, what is the problem?
Ranu is solving the problem. He'll make Dr. Robert the host so he can share the screen with us.
Uh-huh.
There we
Sir,
go.
he'll make you the host. Now you can share your screen, sir.
Can you see my slide?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
We can
Yeah,
see.
it is visible.
Yes. Okay. So now I will say again, namaste and shukriya. It's a pleasure to be with you. It's an honor to be invited back for my second time with you. I want to say thank you so much again, shukriya, for the invitation. I want to thank the students first and foremost, and all of the colleagues that are attending today. It's truly an honor to be with you. First and foremost, let's talk about the consumer. The voice of the consumer is the most important signal. It's putting your finger on the pulse of your consumers. It's going to help you to be successful in the marketplace, and you've got to truly understand who your target market is, and what is their voice, meaning what is their needs and wants, what are their expectations. Do we have a full understanding of who our target market is? We need to be able to anticipate and shape that consumer behavior in order to be competitive and have that competitive advantage in the marketplace. Consumer behavior, just for clarity, what comprises consumer behavior is the acts, the processes, and the social relationships displayed by an individual or a group of individuals before, during, and subsequent to an exchange process. So there's a lot involved there. But the consumer, we have to understand who they are. We've got to develop that relationship and really garner a deep, rich understanding of who they are and what comprises their needs and their wants. Here in the last 3 years, there's been an extensive amount of disruption, transformation, not only from the pandemic. It seems like we always default to the pandemic as being the impetus to cause all of the disruption and transformation. And rightfully so. I mean, when you look at what transpired during that time and post, is that our consumer behaviors have changed. You look at the different age demographics, you look at baby boomers. Baby boomers became more aware. They were thrust into purchasing online when before they really did not. They didn't go there. They didn't look to purchase online. They were more brick and mortar stores and that sort of thing. But now they've embraced it. And that is going to be some of the changes that we're going to see for decades to come. Hopefully and thankfully, but again, hopefully the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, that we're going to move beyond that. But the effects, like I say, of the pandemic are going to be long reaching. It's going to last for years to come. Some of the headwinds that we can anticipate, we've got economic uncertainty, I guess is the best way to say it. There's the possibility of a recession around the globe. We've got the issues of the Russian-Ukraine war. Now we have the unrest in the Middle East. All of that, along with the presidential election here in the United States, all of these things are going to cause some headwinds that we've got some rough road or roading ahead of us that we're going to have to address. But we can get there. And how do we get there? We've got to make sure that we look at our consumer. We have to anticipate their needs. We have to not just meet those needs, but exceed those needs. Again, it's having our finger on the pulse to understand exactly who is our consumer, our target market. We have to understand that their needs and their wants and their expectations are very fluid. They're going to be changing on a daily basis. Then we also need to look at the data analytics that's available to us and utilize that whenever we are trying to forge a relationship, a connection with our consumer. We want to make sure that we balance that relationship that we forge with our consumer with the need for revenue, dropping that money to the bottom line. It's not all just about the money. If you take care of the consumer, that will drop money to the bottom line, but we've got to balance that act. We need to know the competition. We have to truly understand who is it that we are competing against. What is our unique selling proposition? What makes us different than the competition? What are we delivering to the consumer in the marketplace that makes them want to buy and purchase from us? Then we need to look at lost consumers. Why have they left us? What is it that we can learn from those transactions that we can maybe reduce some of those hurdles, those obstacles, to make it more seamless so that we don't lose customers down the road. We need to make sure that we understand, like I say, those needs of our consumer, but we deliver at the right time. Timing is so vital. And we'll get into some of the issues with that later on in the presentation. But it's all about developing trust, forging that trust. And we will delve into that, like I say, as we get in deeper in the presentation. But it's all about brand loyalty, that consumer being loyal to our brand long term. Everybody wants to feel special and appreciated, and I'll speak to that a little bit later as well. Some of the different shopping profiles is the best way to say it for the consumers these days. Is you've got the bargain hunter. Remember, I talked about the economic uncertainty. So you've got people that are trying to be as frugal as possible. You have the indecisive browser that's just shopping. They really don't know what they want. You have the impulsive buyer. Sometimes they fall victim to what we call FOMO, fear of missing out. And then you have the mission-driven shopper that knows exactly what they want. They go in to get it, and they're off and running. But the thing that's one of the consistent themes that you're going to hear from me this morning is that consumers are craving personalization. Like I said, they want to feel valued, appreciated. Everyone wants to feel that way. And consumers especially want to have that feeling. And we'll get into the different aspects of how we can connect with the consumer to tap into that craving of personalization. Mobile devices, just like the students in the room, everybody's using our mobile devices. We use them for everything. It makes you wonder what we did before we had these devices. But what we're seeing with consumers is they're utilizing their device when they're in the stores. They are doing research with the mobile devices. Sometimes they're actually doing what we call showrooming, where they're looking in the brick and mortar stores and such, and they're actually browsing and shopping products, but the intent is to purchase it elsewhere. So it's really, there used to be a term, window shopping, where you'd walk down like downtown and you would look in the windows at the different items. It's happening in different retails, shops and such, but it's called showrooming. So as a result, we need to have a full-fledged mobile strategy. We need to look at whether it's SMS, MMS, the websites, email, the apps that we're utilizing with our consumers. All of those are touch points, and we've got to look at making those fine-tuned, strategic, I think is a better word. Utilize those in a strategic manner to forge those connections, to personalize our relationship with the consumer. The 2023 Consumer Trends Index really highlights a lot of what I'm going to be talking about tonight, and you'll see that I'm referencing that on several of the slides. But apps, like I say, is one of the big things that we've seen happen. It was prevalent before the pandemic, but it really truly accelerated and took off from that point on. But the apps are an opportunity for us to have real-time engagement with our consumer. The other thing that's important to keep in mind is that messaging it's the key differentiator when it comes to forging that relationship with our consumer. Consumers don't want to just be a transaction. They want to forge a relationship with the brand. They want to feel passionately about the brand. They want to be loyal to the brand. You'll see that later on in the presentation as well. Although they will switch brands, and especially in today's economic situation, they are more prone to be swayed away from their loyal brands. One thing to keep in mind, and again, I'm tying back to the Consumer Trends Index of 2023, you wouldn't think that we would still be relying on email, but email is a key driver of interaction and bookings with our consumer. So it's an opportunity for us to utilize that as a means of pushing out our message to our consumer, getting it into their hands. But again, we don't want it to be just casting and blasting. We want it to be personal. We want to make sure that we are tapping into that individual on a unique basis. Again, like I say, the emails are, they're being utilized in an effective manner, but we have to look at ways to elicit engagement. It's not good enough to just push out our message. We've got to make sure that the consumer is reading our message, that they're acting. With marketing, there's always a call to action. So we've got to have that call to action embedded in our messaging. And many times it's in the subject line. When we look at the subject line, that is so important when it comes to email. You can look and see how if it doesn't, well, if the consumer or our target market or our target consumer is not reading that subject line in the manner that we want, they many times will perceive it as being spam and it'll be rejected. So we've got to make sure that our subject line speaks to them as an individual. It's personal. It's something that's going to entice them to want to open up the email, read the email, engage in the email, and act upon it. Remember, like I said, with that call to action, that CTA. The other thing I wanted to point out, especially for the students in the room, is how the emojis will help the open rate. So to me, that's fascinating. I'm not a big, it's my age demographic. I don't really, it doesn't do anything for me with the emojis, but the younger demographic, I have to say, you guys love them. So it will entice that younger demographic to open up the emails. Here is just a quick screenshot to show you what it looks like when we talk about the email. Really what I wanted to focus on here is just that subject line. It needs to be a teaser, needs to be enticing. The other thing I wanted to mention is it's kind of like X, what used to be Twitter. Remembering that you've got a short amount of headline that you need to promote. So utilize that pre-header to get your message a point to entice the consumer to want to know more, to read on. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and we're going to delve into this deeper into the presentation, is self-reported preferences that we are able to get from our target market, our consumers, our customers. And that, along with the behavioral and psychographic data, gives us a good, rich profile of that individual. When I was with Wyndham Corporate, I did marketing for Wyndham Corporate for 20 years, and I did marketing for 19. We were a hotel company, but we began acquiring Avis, Budget Rental Cars, Century 21, ERA Realty, Coldwell Banker, Jackson Hewitt. So these were car rental agencies. They were tax agencies, then and then the real estate. So all of those were being brought underneath our umbrella for us to be able to utilize that data. And then when you add in the third-party data that's available now, you can really get an understanding of who your target market or your target customer is. So the one thing I wanted to say here is that we've already talked about connecting with our consumer, but delivering that message that is the right message through the right channel at the right time. And mainly what I wanted to stress with you is that it's all about listening. We don't listen. Even in normal conversations, when we're talking to someone or a group of people, we are in our head, we're already thinking about how we're going to respond to that individual, what we have to say, rather than truly listening to that individual. And I will tell you that consumers are perceptive. and they will pick up on it. And perception is reality. So you've got to make sure that your consumer, your target market, feels valued, appreciated, and knows that you value what I'm bringing to your what I'm bringing to the organization as a whole, to the brand. So we want to personalize our messaging, whether it's showing empathy or understanding to the consumer, and it's all tapping into their likes, their interest, their previous purchasing history, or their preferences, like I say, that they have shared with us. It's all about customer delight. How do we show or entice delight in our customers? Because that's what's going to drive them to that brand advocacy. It's not good enough just for them to purchase and repurchase with us. We want them to be out singing our praises and winning converts over to our brand. The other thing that's important, especially with the economic situation being what it is today, is value. Value, and this is my definition of value, I think simplistically, but that is what I always tell my students. Value is give versus get, meaning what do I get for what I'm giving you? So if you think of it that way, that's going to help you with your messaging, your value messaging. The other thing that, like we talked about earlier, is having an emotional connection with your customer. You want them to have an emotional connection with you, and you want to have an emotional connection with them. You want them to purchase your brand or services, that it becomes part of their daily routine. They love your brand, they love your products, your services, and they cannot imagine their life without it. And that's what it takes to forge that relationship. The other thing that you will see on the slide is talking about data privacy. I will get into that in just a little bit, but that's something that is really beginning to bubble up. We're seeing more and more pushback on some of the traditional digital advertising and cookies and that sort of thing. There's a lot of concern now. Consumers are becoming more and more concerned about tracking and their privacy. The other thing that I would tell you, like I said, is that everybody wants to feel appreciated and valued, and you've got to make sure that you're pushing that message out in order to forge that loyalty to your brand. Consumers love the brand loyalty programs, but again, it's got to move beyond just being a transaction. The other thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that consumers will switch. They are prone to switch, whether it's because of some quality issues, or there's been some issues with the customer service or the support, you name it. But because of the economic situation today, people are more frugal and they're more sensitive to, or let me just say it this way, more receptive to changing brands. The other thing to keep in mind is that they will switch back. They're not switching because they're going somewhere. They're switching because they almost have been pushed away. Again, when you've got a relationship with a customer, it's difficult for me to leave you if I'm passionate about your brand and I'm connected to your brand. Remember, I talked about I'm buying from you on a daily basis. I cannot imagine my life without your brand. So why would I deviate? Why would I leave? You've got to have done something to push me away. The other thing, like I said, is that your loyalty programs are more popular than ever, but you've got to make sure that those are more than just acquire these points for these prizes, or you have a frequent purchase program. You purchase 9 and you get the 10th one free, that kind of thing. You've got to focus in on the uniqueness of the individual, along with rewarding them for their brand loyalty. The other thing that, like I said earlier, that is bubbling up and becoming more sensitive is the consumers feeling that they're being watched, that some of the marketing efforts are a bit creepy. And I'll give you some comparisons there, but they're beginning to feel like some of that is intrusive. So brands need to realize that consumers are taking action. They're finding ways to block a lot of those cookies, the tracking that's out there. Some of those digital advertising campaigns are not generating the results that they used to years ago. So we're starting to see a shift of that. The pendulum, like I said, is swinging over to looking at the consumer in terms of their concern of the privacy issue, but what are they willing to tell us about themselves, their buying habits, their preferences, their likes, because they will divulge some of that information. So on the next couple of slides, I am actually looking at some of the data from the respondents of the 2023 Consumer Trends Index. And again, it's just looking at what is being considered cool and what is being considered a bit creepy. So when we look at location data, 2/3 of consumers or the respondents in the survey were saying that they felt that was a little creepy. Now, we did some of that location-based geo targeting when you were on property, one of our Wyndham properties. If you happen to walk by, let's say, the restaurant or the lounge or the pool bar, we would serve up an ad for that location. That I don't believe you're going to see people feeling quite as sensitive about it because they're on that location. They know that they can anticipate being targeted by that entity. But when you're just walking down the street and all of a sudden some ad is served up just because you happen to be walking close to that location, it can be a bit creepy. The other thing is what the respondents were saying was that past preferences, past purchases, that's pretty cool, or they're receptive to being served up with different recommendations in terms of what they purchased in the past. The other thing, like I mentioned, the cookies, the tracking, and so forth. 61 of the respondents said that the retargeting that they felt that was a little bit creepy. Like I said, with Wyndham, we did retargeting. When you went into the brand websites, if you did not purchase, you were retargeted for 30 days. We would send out different ads for 30 days because we knew you were a qualified lead. We knew you had an interest. You just never purchased. But that pendulum has swung now. People are getting sensitive to that. They don't like that. They feel that's a little bit creepy. However, they do feel, if you look at the 60% of the respondents said that if they're on the website for 2 minutes or more, they don't mind getting served up with some kind of special offer. Then if we look at another aspect of creepiness, I'm going to say, is that, and I think we've all experienced this, where you mention something around your device or a friend's or family member's device, and all of a sudden an ad pops up. 63% of the respondents said that they felt that was very creepy. And then when you look at what the respondents considered to be cool was they thought if they abandoned the shopping cart, if they got an email reminder or an advertisement that just reminded them of how they had abandoned that shopping cart, they thought that was a nice touch to be reminded of that. So again, some of the things that consumers are feeling a bit wigged out about, a little creepy, is that location data, the third-party tracking with the cookies, the listening devices, or listening ads and promotions that are being pushed out as a result of your device overhearing a conversation. So out of that, brands need to be sensitive to the consumer's privacy. They're prioritizing that, and the brands need to do that as well. And they need to communicate what actions, what steps are they taking to protect the privacy of their target market. That's going to help them build trust. It's going to help them, the consumer, want to be loyal to that brand and maintain a long relationship. Again, it's that personalization and that trust that is it's the cornerstone. It's really the area that needs to be focused on today to build that trust, that long-standing trust that we're trying to forge with our consumer. We need to also communicate that we are being ethical and responsible with the data that's being shared by our consumers. We need to make sure that they feel comfortable divulging that information to us. Because if you look at the KPMG International Survey, you can see that 84% of the respondents were a little bit concerned about how everything was being maintained, the data that was being maintained. This is a little bit of a busy slide. I hope the students can see this because I know they're in a large room. But this is the journey that the consumer takes as they go through everything from becoming aware of the product or service, and then considering it, researching it. They do the purchase, and it all leads to the longevity or repurchasing of the product or service that we offer. And these are touch points, and they can be digital or they can be physical. But what I wanted to mention to you here is that we need to find areas, different touch points where we can add excitement and we can add interest, value to our customers so that they want to remain loyal, that they want to purchase, that they want to become brand advocates, that they are so enamored that they will share their experience and their passion for our brand with their friends and their family. Or it could be on, different social platforms where they're just sharing it to whomever. Now, when we look at that consumer journey, the journey itself is what they're doing along the way. Like I mentioned, from becoming aware, it's like the AIDA model: aware, interest, desire, and action. It's all the steps that they take when they go through the different phases of that journey. But the experience is how they feel at each of those touch points. And that's what I'm trying to get you to think about. Is it's not just a transaction, it's an experience. It's a relationship with the brand. And if you just think about the brands that you patronize, the ones that you love, the ones that you wear, my students laugh at me because I use an Android phone. But I can tell you that I love the photos, and anytime there's a photo op, people are always asking me to take the pictures because mine takes the best photos. But I guarantee you that the majority of the students in that room have an iPhone. They love the iPhones. But there again, that is that relationship that you have with that brand. We want to make sure that we are experience led or experience first, experience driven, and maybe another way to say it, so that we are really honing in on the needs and the wants to forge those connections to drive the brand revenue. And the other thing to keep in mind with the consumer is that they are looking at loyalty programs as currency. They see value in those loyalty programs. So we need to see value in our loyalty programs, and we need to make sure that we address them as such. One of the things, like I mentioned, is that the consumers are willing to share their likes, their preferences, their dislikes. And it can be whether it's their preferences, their purchasing habits, their personal context, all of that they're willing to share. And that's all called zero party data. And that data we can obtain, whether it's through a pop-up that we do on the website, or it's a poll or a quiz that we do, any kind of messaging that we are doing with our consumers. This is one to show you on the far right-hand side of the slide, where we're just asking for birthday, we're asking for how many children does he have, that kind of thing. All of that data, if he's willing to share it, can go into his profile and make for a very rich profile, along with the other, like I said, the psychographics, the other data that's available. These are just some of the different, there's zero party data, there's first party data, second party data, third party data. First party data is what we would obtain off of, like I said, the Wyndham website, how we did the retargeting and such. We would obtain data off of their activity, their engagement on the website. Then there's second party data that's coming from corporate partners. It's very similar to first party data, just coming from corporate partners. And then we have the third party, which, like I said, could be coming from social media platforms, which adds a whole different dynamic. But there again, that we've got to be mindful that it can easily creep into that creepy aspect that we mentioned earlier. This is just another way of that zero party data, where we're just asking them about what's your style, what do you like, that sort of thing. So it helps us create a very rich profile for our customer. That, like I say, will be the preferences, their interests, their intent. It really helps us fine tune our messaging to our target market to get to know them, so that we can personalize all of our pushed out messaging. It's all with the intent of building long lasting relationships. That's the ultimate goal. It costs 5 times more to get a customer than it is to keep a customer. So we want that customer to stay with us, be brand loyal, become brand advocates, and they can actually even be, in a roundabout way of looking at it, a salesperson for us. I used to say, when I managed my country club, I had 52 employees. All of my employees were a member of the sales team. That's the way I looked at it, because they're all helping to recruit. And the way that I'm just going to tell you, the way that I look at marketing is getting them in the door or to your store, and sales is what we do with them once they're there. So what we want to do to align our brand with our customers' needs is we need to anticipate their expectations, get to know them in a rich way to anticipate those needs. We want to utilize the data that's available for analytics to help us improve that experience. We want to monitor their interactions with our brand, their expectations. We want to make sure that we not only meet but exceed their expectations. We talked about the balance between the relationships and the revenue. We want to make sure that we utilize segmentation. I don't know if you've studied segmentation, but it's just a way of carving up your customer base so that you understand what their preferences are, what they like, and it can be divvied up by geography, could be psychographics. And basically what we mean by psychographics is what makes them tick, why they do what they do, why they purchase what they do, that sort of thing. And then, like I mentioned earlier, is learning from lost customers. Why did they leave us? How could we have enhanced the relationship with them so that we would not have lost them or have them swayed or enticed to go with another brand? And then knowing our competition, like I mentioned earlier. Again, this is the journey, the consumer behavior journey. The main thing I wanted to mention on this slide is, I know it's a lot to digest, I guess is the best way to say it, but I wanted you to see the off ramps that are on the journey. Those are the red little chutes that you see there. You'll see where it says abandoned cart and abandoned brand. We have to be mindful that once they get on the journey, they don't have to stay on the journey. They can bail at any time. And we've got to be mindful of that. So we've got to look at what is it that they're looking for? How do they shop? How can we reduce a lot of the friction to make it easier, make it so that they don't want to bail, that they don't take that exit ramp, that we personalize our messaging to them to keep them on the journey that makes them want to purchase. Remember, I told you that call to action, that CTA, we want them to purchase. And then ultimately, we want to create such a positive experience that they become a brand advocate. That relationship with our consumers, it all just goes back to understanding their wants and their needs and their desires. And we've got to just utilize personalization to hone in on that individual as unique and special as they are. So the customer experience focus is essential to create unforgettable experiences. It's in order to keep the consumer engaged, transforming them into brand advocates to drive revenue and increase market share. So the key takeaways are that email is still the driving force. It's still the way to get your consumer to purchase. But remember that we've got to utilize the subject line and the first little bit of the email that they're able to read, the preview. So we've got to make sure that that's a message, that's a headline to entice them to want to learn more, want to read more. We want to make sure that we are ethical with the data that's being shared with us from the consumer, that we are responsible stewards of that data, that we need to make sure we communicate that to our consumer, that we are taking actions and steps to be responsible with their data. That's going to resonate with them. Then we also want to make sure that we understand the power of brand loyalty. Consumers are more loyal than ever. They want to have their preferred brands, but they want to be rewarded for being loyal to those brands. We know that there's economic uncertainty, and we need to be aware of that. That goes back to that value conversation that we had earlier. We also need to realize that the economic situation is leading to more waiting for sales, less impulsive buying. They're trying to be as frugal as possible. The other thing is, we talked about this earlier, the switching. Customers are easily swayed or wowed or wooed, I think is the better way to say it. They can be wooed away from you. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we can get them back, but you don't lose them in the first place. If you have a good relationship, you're not going to lose them. So you just have to make sure that you are looking at your loyalty program, communicating the benefits of being in the loyalty program, make sure that your customer experience is the best that it can be, and that we are communicating that we are responsible with their data. Also, keep in mind how there's the curtailment of the tracking, how all of those cookies, the tracking cookies and the digital advertising, those days are dwindling, I guess is the best way to say it, in terms of looking at what is it that the consumer is willing to share, and let's utilize that data so that it addresses their sensitivity to privacy issues. So utilize that zero-party data that they are going to share with us to help us communicate with them, and so that the brand resonates with them through that personalization. That zero party data is a win-win, because it is good for the consumer and it's good for the organization, the brand as a whole. Some of the things, like I said, just to recap about the creepiness and what's cool, consumers just want discounts that they deserve. They want those to be delivered to them without having to work for it. They want to be able to shop on all devices, and they want relevant, timely promotions. That messaging that's being pushed out needs to be something that really applies to them. That's why the personalization resonates with them. They don't want to lose control or anonymity, and they don't want to lose their privacy. So those are key issues that needs to be addressed when we're talking about consumers. So the personalization is not going anywhere. It's kind of almost going back to basics, where we really truly know who our customers are, what makes them tick, why they purchase what they purchase, why they do what they do. We need to make sure that we invest in digital customer experience efforts and look at technology that can help us in that regard. And if we don't do that, we are going to lose our customers. They will simply go to another brand. Now, I'm going to leave you with this quote from Dr. Maya Angelou. I love this quote. I utilize it, seems like in just about every presentation that I do, but it's something that I think really should be our mantra. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget the way you made them feel. And that is what I'm trying to tell you about the consumer and consumer behavior today. We've got to forge a connection, a rich connection with them, utilizing the information that they are readily willing to share with us and without creeping them out. With that, I will say thank you so much, Shukriya, for the invitation to be with you this morning, and I will open it up if anyone may have any questions.
Very nice, Professor. Mind-blowing lecture, nice deliberations. And I just want to, you can come back to, yeah. So it was so nice perspective you talk about. Now, with your permission, can we take a few questions from the students?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So Anand, may coordinate with Priya. The students should raise their questions one by one, and please proceed.
Over to you, Komal.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson, for your enlightening words. We are truly honored to have you with us today. Now, we will move forward to the Q&A round. For that, I would like to call my batchmate, Mr. Shubham Carey, to coordinate the Q&A round and sum up the session.
Thank you, Komal. I would probably like only a few students who have shared their questions with me to like put forward their questions right now. So probably I will go first with Khushi. Khushi Gupta, please do ask your question.
What is the problem?
A very good morning, sir. Am I audible? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, very good morning, sir. My question to you is, why is digital disruption a good thing?
Well, the one thing I would say is that, I mean, just like I was talking about with the baby boomers, when you look at that demographic, they did not embrace technology to the most part prior to the pandemic. But during the pandemic, you started to see them purchasing online, utilizing deliveries or curbside pickup, that kind of thing. So that has been beneficial in terms of bringing that generation around to embracing technology.
Thank you so much, sir.
The next question would be from Aditi Kapoor.
Good morning, sir. In light of the still significant global digital rural-urban divide, how would the outreach of marketing remain effective?
You know, I hate to keep beating this drum, but I feel like we lose sight of the humanity that we're dealing with humans. We get so focused on transactions and P&L statements and how much money's being brought in and dropped to the bottom line. We forget that we're dealing with humans, and everyone wants to feel appreciated, valued. It sounds so basic, but most organizations and brands have lost sight of it. And we don't focus on, because I guarantee you, every one of the students in this room, everybody's different. Yes, we may have commonality. We may have purchasing patterns and habits that are similar, but everyone is different in their own right. And we lose sight of that, I feel like, as organizations and brands.
Thank you, sir.
We will be taking two or three questions more. The next would be from Sunny Patak.
Very good morning, sir. So my question to you is, like, as you just mentioned about the understanding the consumers changing expectations, and we need to deliver the right the right message at the right time on the right channel. So my question to you is, what should be the frequency and duration of any ad video on a channel, and how for a new company or a established brand?
How long should the messaging be pushed out? Was that the question?
Yeah, that's the question, sir.
Yep. That really depends on the product, the service, what we're pushing out. That's going to fluctuate depending on the product or the service. And you also, you have to look at your demographic, your target market. Some are going to have a longer shelf life than others. I dare say that the younger demographic is not going to entertain messaging as long as a baby boomer demographic would, if that makes any sense. Your demographic is quick to see it and move on, whereas the baby boomer demographic would entertain messaging for a longer period of time.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Next one would be from Bhavya.
I guess Bhavya is absent.
Then probably we can take one question from Shashank.
Hello, sir. A very good morning once again. Sir, my question is related with retargeting. When we retarget any set of prospects, how many attempts we should make on email so that we don't turn into creepy and remain cool while pushing out our messages?
Well, the retargeting was the one that, according to the Consumer Trends Index, was picked up as being creepy. But it needs to be wrapped in with, if I have shared my preferences with you as a brand, then it's okay. It's not perceived as being creepy. It's not perceived as intrusive. But remember, we talked about the being notified about bailing on the shopping cart, abandoning the shopping cart, that people perceive that as, they like that. So it's a fine line. It's almost a dance. You've got to tap into what their preferences are, what their interests are, without it being an ad that's being served up because it was overheard on your device. That kind of thing. If that makes sense. But what I would love to know, if you don't mind, I would love to know from the students, do you find being served up ads as being creepy? Let's say with your device. If you have a conversation overheard, would you raise your hand if you feel that is creepy?
Anyone would like to raise hands for answering the sir's question? For answering what sir has asked. Sir, in my opinion, if I show interest in any sort of product and then I get notified about it, it's okay for me. But unwillingly, if I've just scrolled something and I got to see that messages coming, even including my name in that email, it turns a little creepy. It feels like it's intrusive. So that's my point of view, sir.
Yes, that can happen. Now, I will tell you, when I asked my students similar questions, they were not sensitive to a lot of this. And they said that it was because they have nothing to hide.
Got it, sir.
So I think that's a demographical perspective, because baby boomers will be very sensitive to that. But it seems that the younger demographic is not as sensitive to privacy issues.
Got it, sir. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
We're taking just one more question, and the last one would be from Priyanjali.
Hello, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask that there is this UNICEF report that says that consumerism has impacted the mental health of people from low-income households now for over last 5 years at least. There is another report by an organization called Charity Young Minds, which says that young influencers are trying to build personal brands without enough exposure, and this is putting an undue pressure on them. So my question is that if pursuit of consumerism has an adverse effect on the global mental health, where do we draw the line between being consumers and being consumed by it?
You know, that social influence, I see that on a daily basis. I just had a organization reach out to me trying to get a student to be able to do social influencing for a hotel. But it is a fine line. We are bombarded. We have to cut through the noise. There's so much noise out there, whether it's online, offline. We have got to find a way to cut through it, personalize it, and make it to where it resonates with our consumer to drive brand loyalty. But it's a fine line.
I hope that answered your question, Priyanjali. And now, let's swiftly encapsulate the discussion in a very nutshell. Well, it is really vital that the brands now focus on the key drives and the influences of their business, but the successful companies simultaneously do go deeper and to get their customers and wider to seek aspirations and inspirations from their adjacent sectors. But as Dr. Thompson rightly mentioned, that success is not a one-off phenomena, and no brand can risk being irrelevant tomorrow. Markets are evolving faster, and innovations requires more commitment. Eventually, all brands have to and should strive to reinvent their strategies in life with the consumers and the world. Thank you so much for your valuable time, sir. And now I would request Mr. Anand, sir, Manager Marketing ITMI, to deliver the vote of thanks to Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. Very good morning, esteemed speaker, Dr. Robert J. Thompson, Team India Today Media Institute, and my dear students. This is my pleasure to present vote of thanks for this insightful session. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to our esteemed guest, Dr. Robert J. Thompson, who graced this occasion with his knowledge, wisdom, and insights on how market scenario is changing during this digital era. Sir, your advices and experiences will definitely help our students to shape their future. Thank you for sharing your expertise and time with us. Thank you, sir. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to Dean and Director ITMI, Dr. DJ Pati sir, Team India Today Media Institute, and Career Development Cell, who have worked tirelessly to organize and execute this event flawlessly. A heartfelt thanks to all my students for being a lovely audience and for asking some amazing questions. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mr. Khare. As we wrap up this session, please keep an eye out for future events and lecture organized by ITMI. We are committed to bringing you more opportunities for learning and growth. Thank you once again, Dr. Thompson. And thank you everyone who joined us. We look forward to seeing you at our future events. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep striving for excellence. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.
Okay, I am so this opportunity, Professor Robert. My heartfelt thanks as well. With a very short span of time, you not only accept the invitation but gracing the occasion, and your presentation was so insightful. It is mind-blowing and citing many critical areas or the challenges is very effective. And I'm sure that in coming days, you are now, I also hereby announce that you will be a distinguished fellow to ITMI. And you will be part of the advisory panel of CDC, ITMI CDC. So I'm very delighted to announce it, and in the presence of the August gathering. So we will get in touch with you, and written certificates also be issued subsequently from my office. But I'm very delighted to see you in person visiting India in coming days, and keep guiding, keep advising, so that our CDC should go not just in India, but in the international sphere, connecting many institutions of excellence. And our children could benefited with the global knowledge resource and the intellectual knowledge pool. And the second part, because India is now under this G20 summit, has already cited on his declaration, and US supported it, that destination management, because you are a expert that destination and leisure activities globally. And so I also want that coming days, I am more inclined to start up a course on destination and leisure management in the tourism segments, because India attracts larger number of tourists, and Indian people also go abroad every year, and that is the inflow has gone up since the corona impact. I mean, corona is over. So now we are all living in a global village. How to create that kind of conducivity and creating those kind of synergy. So that's how I need your expert advice. I must also inform you that Dr. Neha, I hope, is here. So we have a skill center also, and we have collaborated with Media Entertainment Skill Council, and I also want that some skill-based program packaging could be also done so that ITMI could train a lot of people involved in the tourism sector. In India, we are talking about more than 66,000 crore are being transacted in a one financial year. So it is one of the green shoot area after the pharma industry and the media and entertainment industry. So totality, your expertise and your association with ITMI is always so memorable. And again, from the management side, from the team side, my sincere thanks to you for your time, patience, and also bearing with us. There are initially some technical glitches, but although you join at 9, 10 or something, so I believe in the coming days, we'll open new such kind of openings and the sessions or the virtual workshops for my children. And because we have 5 courses are there, 5 postgraduate courses. One is the hardcore journalism, that is called broadcast journalism. We have media and entertainment management. We have digital media and communication, visual communication and infographics. We are the only institution in the country now, as per the Google data, we are only teaching infographics. No other institution in the country is teaching on infographics. And we have a skill center. We have a 2 years mass communication program. We call applied communication. It's a practice-based course. And so in totality, we have now 6 divisions. With CDC, we have 7 divisions now. So we look forward your expert advice from time to time, and your prompt response always enthuses me that you have always a soft corner for India and Indian institution, and you are very popular in the Indian B school or Indian institutions. I keep on seeing the social media part. So let it be in touch, and thank you so much for gracing the occasion.
Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, so the students are requested to have a tea break and come back after 20 minutes. Thank you. Okay. I'll be sending the details to you.
Okay. I'm so honored. I'm so honored.
Thank you.